In the heart of the city's industrial district stood an ominous structure, an abandoned warehouse with a history shrouded in mystery. Its weathered exterior hinted at its once thriving past, but now it lay silent and desolate, a testament to the passage of time. Little did anyone know within its decaying walls lay the scene of a chilling crime, a true crime mystery in an unusual place. Officer Alex Ramirez, a seasoned detective known for his keen instincts, found himself drawn to the warehouse one fateful evening. A tip from an anonymous source had piqued his curiosity, leading him to investigate the abandoned building under the cover of darkness. As he approached the warehouse, a sense of foreboding washed over him. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the darkness seemed to swallow him whole as he stepped inside. With each echoing footstep, he felt the weight of the warehouse's secrets pressing down upon him. It didn't take long for Officer Ramirez to discover the source of his unease, a grisly scene illuminated by the beam of his flashlight. A body lay sprawled on the concrete floor, bathed in a pool of crimson. The sight sent a shiver down his spine, and he knew he had stumbled upon something far more sinister than he had anticipated. The victim's identity remained a mystery, their features obscured by the shadows. But as Officer Ramirez surveyed the scene, he knew one thing for certain. This was no ordinary murder. The abandoned warehouse held secrets that ran deeper than anyone could have imagined. With a sense of determination burning within him, Officer Ramirez set out to unravel the mystery of the abandoned warehouse murder. He combed through the evidence with painstaking precision, following every lead no matter where it took him. Days turned into weeks as Officer Ramirez delved deeper into the case, piecing together fragments of information like a puzzle. The warehouse yielded its secrets begrudgingly, but with each discovery the truth grew clearer. It soon became apparent that the victim had been involved in illicit activities, their ties to the criminal underworld weaving a tangled web of deceit and betrayal. But who had wanted them dead, and why? As Officer Ramirez delved deeper into the victim's past, he uncovered a trail of lies and deception that led him to the heart of the city's criminal underbelly. The abandoned warehouse was not just a scene of a murder. It was a battleground where rival factions vied for power and control. With his instincts as his guide, Officer Ramirez navigated the treacherous waters of the criminal underworld, determined to bring the perpetrator to justice. He faced threats and intimidation at every turn, but he refused to back down. In the end, it was a stroke of luck that led Officer Ramirez to the truth, a chance encounter with a witness who had seen the murder unfold before their eyes. With their testimony in hand, Officer Ramirez was able to piece together the events of that fateful night, unraveling a conspiracy that went far beyond the walls of the abandoned warehouse. As the perpetrator was brought to justice and the victim's family found closure, Officer Ramirez stood before the warehouse one final time, his heart heavy with the weight of the truth he had uncovered. The abandoned warehouse may have held its secrets close, but in the end, justice had prevailed. And as Officer Ramirez walked away from the scene, he knew that he had done what was right, that he had brought light to the darkness that lurked within its decaying walls. The abandoned warehouse loomed in the moonlit night, casting long shadows across the empty streets. Officer Alex Ramirez approached cautiously, his footsteps echoing in the silence. The anonymous tip that had led him here whispered of something dark and unspeakable within its decaying walls. The city's industrial district, once teeming with life and activity, now lay dormant. The abandoned warehouse stood as a haunting relic of a bygone era, a place forgotten by time. As Officer Ramirez pushed open the creaking door, a cold draft welcomed him into the heart of the mystery. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of dampness and decay. His flashlight sliced through the darkness, revealing crates covered in dust, forgotten machinery, and the skeletal remains of the warehouse's former life. But there was something more, something unsettling that clung to the air like a ghostly presence. Following the dim light, Officer Ramirez traversed the desolate space. The echoes of his footsteps seemed to reverberate with an eerie energy, as if the walls themselves held the memories of the secrets they concealed. And then, at the heart of the warehouse, the beam of his flashlight caught a glimpse of something that sent a shiver down his spine. A sprawled figure, lifeless and still, bathed in a pool of crimson. The sight was chilling, and the silence seemed to amplify the weight of the moment. The victim lay in the middle of the cold concrete floor, their face obscured by shadows. Officer Ramirez's instincts kicked in, and he approached with caution. The details of the crime scene unfolded before him. Every drop of blood, every abandoned crate whispered of a story waiting to be unraveled. As the initial shock faded, Officer Ramirez noted the absence of any immediate identification on the victim. No wallet, no personal effects, just a lifeless body surrounded by the decaying remnants of an abandoned warehouse. The investigative gears turned in his mind. Who was this person? Why were they here? And what had led them to such a gruesome end in this forgotten place? Days turned into nights, and Officer Ramirez found himself immersed in the investigation. He canvassed the area, interviewed locals, and sifted through records to uncover any connection to the victim. But the warehouse's secrets were not easily surrendered. The city, too, held its own secrets. Officer Ramirez soon discovered that the victim had been involved in the city's underworld, an intricate web of crime and corruption. Their ties to various criminal factions only deepened the mystery, opening a door to a world of deceit and betrayal. The abandoned warehouse, it seemed, was not merely a crime scene, but a key player in the dangerous game that unfolded within the city's shadows. Officer Ramirez's determination grew as he realized that the threads of this mystery were woven into the very fabric of the city's criminal underbelly. With each lead he pursued, Officer Ramirez faced resistance and danger. The criminal factions did not take kindly to an outsider poking into their affairs. Threats and warnings came in equal measure, but Officer Ramirez remained undeterred. As he delved deeper into the victim's past, Officer Ramirez began to piece together a narrative that went beyond the boundaries of the abandoned warehouse. The victim, it seemed, was a pawn in a larger game, one involving rival factions vying for control, power, and dominance. The abandoned warehouse, standing silent witness to this clandestine war, became a symbolic battleground where alliances were forged and broken. Officer Ramirez, driven by a relentless pursuit of justice, became a lone figure navigating the treacherous waters of the criminal underworld. In his quest for answers, Officer Ramirez stumbled upon the remnants of an old gang feud, an unresolved vendetta that had spilled into the present. The victim, caught in the crossfire, had become a casualty in a war waged within the decaying walls of the abandoned warehouse. The investigation intensified as Officer Ramirez uncovered connections that led him to unexpected places. The city's elite, its political figures, and influential players all seemed to have a stake.